a big belief and that I have is that we can't just sit back and watch life happen to us. We need to go out and make our lives happen. And in fact, I'm going to quote you and something I've heard you say many times. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. And I think that's the foundation behind Drive Her Forward is we're only going to get as far as we can go as long as we're pushing ourselves to do it. We can have all the help in the world, but unless we go out there and make it happen, it's not going to happen. And so that's where I truly believe that you can build a life by design if we just, again, get out of our own way, make things happen and try to improve ourselves and ask for the help to do that, then great things will come out of it.
Welcome to The Fuel Line, where we explore all things automotive with a focus on mergers and acquisitions. Hi, my name's Fareed Ahmed. I'm the founder and the CEO of DSMA and your favorite podcast host. Each episode, we connect with influential figures that drive the automotive landscape. Let's shift into gear and get started. Today, we have a remarkable young lady on our show that has a lot of automotive experience. We're talking about Katie Naughton. Katie Naughton is the founder of a company called Drive Her Forward, a true force in the automotive world. Katie is an entrepreneur, an investor, a deal maker who built her career in one of the most male-dominated industries out there. As one of the 1%ers of women to own and operate automotive dealerships, Katie has brought scaled and sold dealerships across the United States and Canada. And she's also a graduate of the NADA Dealers Academy. She went on to lead high-level automotive mergers and acquisitions, advising entrepreneurs on 7, 8-figure deals across North America. Today, through her Drive Her Forward, Katie helps ambitious women stop waiting to be chosen and start leading with strategy, accountability, and results. Katie's direct, she's grounded, and above all, Katie brings this calm intensity to everything she does. Katie, we're excited to have you on the show, and welcome to The Fuel Line.
Thank you, Fareed. I'm happy to be here.
Great.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, Adnas, Katie. So I think everybody that's watching this is curious as to what motivated you to create Drive Her Forward, Katie.
Oh my gosh, there was so much behind the motivation, but I think what really kind of stems from it, or the main motivation, is I just got tired of seeing the same old narrative out there.
Right.
Particularly for women in automotive. There's a lot of groups, there's a lot of organizations, meetings, conferences, I mean, you name it. I think they all have great intentions, and I think there's a place for them. I've attended several throughout the years, and I just found that they never really kind of went below the surface. They were all very surface level. They were all very motivational. You could go to these conferences, walk out, feel like $1 million, but after that, then what? You reconfirm that, everybody is dealing with imposter syndrome and everybody out there is feeling the same way. But it didn't help me drive my business forward or help my career path on where I wanted to go. And so I think that was a big thing. I think there was a hole in the market for somewhere where women are looking to grow and be better and more ambitious with their lives. And I couldn't find anything that was really geared towards what I was looking for. And so I just decided, let's go build it. And I've been looking for this for several years now. This isn't just, last year I woke up one day and tried to build a platform.
Well, I think the industry is going to be only better for a company such as this. But who did you build this for? But more importantly, who would not benefit for something of this magnitude?
That's a great question. So, I built this for the ambitious woman, the lady who wants to grow herself, be better. and again, this isn't just for automotive, but just for argument's sake, we're on an automotive
Mm,
podcast. This is for the young lady who's selling cars and wants to be a sales manager one day, or a
mm,
general manager or finance or whatever, and
right.
she wants to grow and become bigger and better. This is for that person. This is not the platform to come on and whine and cry about how hard done by we are because we're in a male dominated business.
Yep.
We don't want to hear about the excuses of why you can't do something. We really are looking for people who want to grow, want to be better, and will kind of want to get out of their own way to improve
Way.
their lives.
So you talk a lot about, you explained a lot to me that this is about accountability rather than just pure encouragement, like some of these seminars have. Like you said, you leave rah rah, pumped and excited, but you're focused more on the accountability side. How is that going to drive growth for that person?
So that's a good one because I think here's where you can relate to this, Fareed. We're both
Yep.
business owners.
Mm,
You can run around all day long and rah rah as much as you want, but at the end of the day, is that going to drive sales for DSMA? Probably not. That's where the accountability comes in, and you have to hold your staff accountable, and you're going to start seeing progress with what you're trying to accomplish there. And I think the same mentality holds true here. Accountability for yourself, accountability with the structures and the leadership platform that I'm trying to build is really going to help you grow as a person and become the better leader that you're looking to be.
right.
Right. So we can sit and pat each other's on the back and braid each other's hair all day long, but again, that's not going to get us to the next level of where we're trying to be in our careers.
I love that. I love that. So another question for you. You grew up in the automotive business. Your father had a Ford store. You grew up in the Ford store. Then you eventually bought a store, and then actually you ended up divesting from both those stores,
Mhm.
and you were really managing at a very high level. When did you realize that women needed something different from traditional leadership programs?
Uh, that happened years ago, years and years ago. I remember sitting in my office in Kia, up at the Kia dealership up in Toronto, and just feeling alone. I was very by
Really?
myself. And, I say that because, I didn't have anybody to bounce ideas off of. And I was in a unique situation because, as you know, I was co running it with my husband. So I did have my
Yes.
husband's support on some aspect, but it's men and female think very differently, and especially when you're in this business and you're one of the few females, uh, as much as I love my husband, he still doesn't understand what I'm facing walking into a room full of all men, and it's intimidating. These boardrooms walking in, especially at my age, I was young. I purchased the Kia dealership at 32 years old, so I
Wow.
was relatively young. You have these guys who've forgotten more than I'm ever going to know, and they're going to teach me everything that they can. And you know I just realized that there is more. There's I turned to books. I read every book out there, every self-help, and as much as they did help me, I still didn't have that community or that group of women that I could lean on and just say, hey, am I crazy for feeling this way or
Right.
thinking this way, or
Shared
here's what I want to
experiences,
do.
right?
Yeah,
The shared experiences. Okay.
absolutely, absolutely. And so, yeah, there was just nothing in the marketplace for that. And for as many conferences again that I went to, and I made a lot of connections, and I met a lot of women, it still just never broke the surface.
I'm with you. I'm with you. So, let's talk a bit more about your company, right?
Okay.
I know a lot, but for the audience, what programs does Drive Her Forward offer to people? And what would be the first steps if anybody wanted to begin this process? Because I'm assuming this is not a 5 minute wonder, right? This is an in-depth program, right?
Absolutely. So I would say the first step of what I would recommend is to go to driveherforward.com. I have a download guide down there on there that is teaches the 5 things that ambitious women need to unlearn. It's the tricks and tips of just some of the high level stuff that I think we're all thinking or have all gone through, and it's just an opportunity to kind of really engage or get a taste of what we're about and who
Right.
we are at Drive Her Forward. As far as the programs and what we do offer, there's a whole bunch of different things. So I do offer one-on-one coaching for those women that are looking for just the one-on-one mentorship and want to grow on that aspect. I do have online courses that I've built. I have 3 that are almost available. One is up and running right now, but the first one is on executive presence and strategic influence. And so that one is geared more towards your boardroom, how you walk in, how you dress, how you act, what you say. That makes an impact on people, and whether we like it or not, people are going to judge you within the first few seconds of meeting you and you walk
Very
in.
true.
So you might as well give them the best version of yourself or the best perception or whatever that you can, and that's what I'm trying to coach in that course. The next one is finance and negotiation skills. And so this is a big one where, I have to admit, I learned a ton, not only just in the car dealership and negotiating deals all the time, car deals, but through the M&A and how to handle the M&A transactions and some of the high level negotiations that were going on there. So, this is all geared towards negotiating the raises, or if you're an independent contractor and you have your rates, how to hold firm and how to price yourself, and not soften yourself when you're communicating or talking with potential clients, and they claim that you're too expensive. These are all those techniques and tricks on how to handle that. And I had a lot of lessons learned over the years that I bring into these courses that I try to coach and teach as well. And then the last one is just redefining ambition and trying to prevent career growth or career burnout. As much as we'd like to think that there's a work-life balance, there isn't. It just doesn't happen. We can try all we want and everything else, but it's not there. It's not possible. So I want to help women navigate their personal lives, their careers. I've got women right now that I'm working with that they're running 4 different dealerships. They're on every single board that they can possibly be on, and then they go home and they have to be a mom and a wife to twin daughters.
Yeah.
And she's struggling with that. So this is kind of where that one comes into play.
Got it.
And then the final piece of my program that I offer is an online community. And that is probably my most favorite and the thing I'm most excited about, because I'm seeing it come to life and I'm seeing it working. I have a group
and growing
every day, really. I have women from all over the U.S., East Coast, West Coast, Canada. I'm getting some traction even just overseas in Europe that are excited. And again, I'm going to go back to, it's not just automotive. It's heavily automotive right now, just because that's my network. But I've got people who, worked at Sony Music and now have gone to go and start their own companies, and, marketing agencies, and, young lady who wants to go start she's an artist and she wants to go, open a shop. And, we're all helping each other rise and elevate to be the next best leaders we can.
That's fantastic. Before the show started, you were mentioning to me about people should be building a career and a life by design instead of by default. So tell me, how does Drive Her Forward make that real for your audience, the women that are a party to your company?
Yeah. So, I think a big belief in that I have is that, we can't just sit back and watch life happen to us. We need to go out and make our lives happen. And in fact, I'm going to quote you and something I've heard you say many times, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And I think that's kind of the foundation behind Drive Her Forward is, we're only going to get as far as we can go as long as we're pushing ourselves to do it. We can have all the help in the
Yes.
world, but unless we go out there and make it happen, it's not going to happen. And so that's where I truly believe that you can build a life by design. In fact, I came up with that. Well, I didn't really. My mom did. She always joked
Oh, did
that
she?
you
Wow.
had just your life is built by design. You have always had this picture and this image of how you want it to be, and that's how it's going. And so I'm
Yes.
a big believer and a big proponent on, if we just again get out of our own way, make things happen and try to improve ourselves and ask for the help to do that, then great things will come out of it.
Yeah. Well, moving on, you work with DSMA, which is we're very, very grateful, and you've worked with countless leaders across the automotive industry. Where are you seeing real progress for a woman, and where are we still missing the mark in the automotive industry?
Yeah, so I just had this conversation, I don't know, 2 days ago.
Ah,
I think there is massive improvements with women in the automotive business. I think we are making strides. There's a lot of progression happening, but I do think if you there's three boxes that I think you can break it down to. You have people that are 100% supportive, of men I'm talking about who are supportive of the female in automotive. They will do anything and everything that they possibly can. And they really are striving to, increase our presence within the industry. Then you have the next group, which I think there's a lot of unconscious bias going on, where there's a lot of people who do think that they're supportive or act like they're supportive, but yet some of their actions don't really follow what they're saying, if that makes sense.
it
So
does. It does.
I think in their minds they actually believe that they're doing good and they're doing great things. They just don't really recognize that maybe some of their actions are still holding women back and are still not advancing them as far as they
Yes.
could or should. And then you just have those people that old school, they just don't care, and this is women shouldn't be in automotive at all, and those are rare. I don't
That very old school mentality, right?
you don't come across those as often, but they're still out there, unfortunately. And
Yes.
as far as I'm concerned, just whatever, you ignore them and you move on. There's so many good people in this industry that are looking to help grow and want women to be a part of it. That you just have to focus on those and find those good people and latch onto them and grow and learn from them. I did have a conversation just recently with a young lady who went to NADA this year, and it was her first one. And so I
Oh,
asked her,
wow.
how, what did you think? And I mean, aside from that, it was completely overwhelming to her. Her one comment was she was pleasantly surprised by the amount of female representation at the show. And it was
Good.
something she wasn't expecting and was happy to see. So
Wow.
it was positive. I still think there's a long way to go, but it's again. I'm going to go back to I think it's the women ourselves that we need to push ourselves a little bit further too. I don't think we need to sit back and wait for the men to
Sure.
always pave the way for us, I guess.
Sure. So then, from a drive her forward lens perspective, what are the simplest things dealerships, automotive businesses could start doing today to better support and promote women into leadership? And obviously, you've worked on both sides of the fence, so I thought I'd pose that question to you.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is awareness, Fareed. There's probably not a ton of women that are in the dealerships day to day, but the ones that are, I think I recommend or suggest paying attention to them. I think
Mm.
um, you have to remember that sometimes it may be intimidating for them to speak up, or they're not always confident to voice their opinions, or whatever the case may be. And I think you need to recognize that maybe if you just spent a little bit more time with them, that you would find that you have some very valuable, loyal, strong individuals that could carry your businesses to the next level, had they just given a little bit more of a nudge or a push to do
Mm.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest thing. Women who go through the program or who are going to go through my program, we're offering the tools and the structure to, help not only help them with the confidence, but to become better
Right.
leaders. And, if they're a sales manager or general manager, this comes to, there's going to be less problems that are landing on your desk. They're going to take more control of the operation. You're going to have improved performance and hopefully improve morale and output through the
Yes.
rest of the staff. So it's yeah, that's my goal with Driver
Yeah,
Forward.
good for
We
you.
want to elevate these women to manage these businesses.
So switching gears a bit, I know and I've experienced it firsthand how community driven you've always been, and how much working with the community in any sphere matters to you. So, how does a platform like Drive Her Forward and DSMA accelerate women's careers in a way traditional corporate paths often don't? What can we do to make a difference?
So this one I'm really excited about because I've seen this community in action. I think some of the corporate platforms and whatever are all about kind of the corporation and maybe just elevating them within the corporation. Where this
Yep.
community is coming together and what I am seeing and just blown away, and it's like it makes, I don't know, I have chills for you because I'm so excited about this. Um, I really am. I am
Good.
seeing these women connect. I am seeing
Mm,
partnerships being formed.
yes.
I'm seeing, I have a lady who owns an AI company and another one that owns a marketing company, and they are now coming together and not only building a friendship, but now starting to look at maybe potentially doing a side, you know, business together that incorporates both of their expertise. One's in Canada and one's in the U.S. And so now we're doing cross border, mergers here, and
Yes.
it's just amazing to see. I had a call the other night, and a young lady who, she's on the sales floor. She's been in car sales for 1 year. She joined the program because she said, "Listen, I'm surrounded by these guys, and that's fine." She goes, "But they're all talking about how, Jimmy wants to be like Bobby over here and Sam wants to be like John, and they're all aspiring to be in these different positions." And she goes, "I don't know what that looks like for me. I don't understand. I'm having a tough time comprehending what a female looks like in a sales manager or general manager
Right.
or finance manager role." And so she joined the community to do that. And so, of course, all my automotive ladies come in and, are coaching her on, some of the steps to go through. And what it really comes down to, a lot of it is just how do we hold our boundaries and how do we hold firm and hold ourselves, hold our position with all these guys without trying to get
Mm,
one over and earn the respect at the same time without, ruffling too many feathers. And there's a fine line there for women in
very much
business.
so.
And that's kind of what we want to help navigate. I think the other thing too, the big one that came out of just this week alone was women were communicating that they had lost their voice through their career paths, and they were adamant on never allowing that to happen again. And so, we were banded together and just talked about why did we lose our voice? What did we do? And where did we go wrong? And what are we going to do better, moving forward to ensure that
Yeah.
we continue on the path that we expect, that we want to lead.
Yeah. So that actually is a great segue into my last question. I want to get your opinion. If you looked into your crystal ball for 2026, and if automotive leaders could only change one thing that would really help women advance faster, what should it be, do you think, Katie? And how does Drive a Helper Forward help women take advantage of that potential shift?
Yeah, I'm just going to go back to, I think it's awareness, and I think it's investment. And I don't necessarily mean investment monetarily, just investment in your time, in your knowledge, and maybe just focus a little bit, do the more of the one-on-ones and
Mm,
talk to them and find out what they're seeing in your organization and how, I'm sure they have great ideas and things that can help drive forward that maybe you would never think of. Or you always have the people that are very loud or very upfront or always in your face, and those tend to get all the
Right.
attention. And maybe sometimes
That's
the
right.
ones that are not as vocal have just as there's a lot going on in their heads.
Yeah, I
So
got it.
yeah, so I think it's more the investment of the time, and then if you I do encourage you to invest in them to become better leaders. If you do see that there is a glimmer of hope there for these girls or these ladies to grow within the organization, then invest in their leadership capabilities as well. And that's where I think
Yeah.
Drive Her Forward would come into play. And really, I truly believe there would be a return on investment for those people that did invest in them.
Yeah, good for you. Katie Naughton, the CEO of Drive Her Forward. So proud of you, Katie. I've known you for many, many years, and whatever you've put your mind to, you've always made it a huge success. But what I really like about what you're doing is you're trying to give back. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you were successful in the auto industry, in the retail business like I was, and it feels good to give back, doesn't it, Katie?
It does. It's funny because I remember, when being with DSMA, and there was a lot of airplane time and a lot of time to think,
Yes.
and this was kind of just one of those things that transpired out of all that time to think. And
Yeah.
I'm in a point in my life where I do want to give back, and I have had a lot of experience, and I do think that there's women out there that would benefit from just knowing some of the stuff that I've gone through, and I am more than happy to provide that information and help people along.
Fabulous. Well, Katie, again, thank you very much. And for all of you watching, I hope you found this segment to be interesting. It's great to see such a female focus on the automotive industry. You know, females help 65 to maybe 70% of the decisions made in a dealership. So they really can influence quite greatly. If you're a female watching this show, I highly recommend that you join Katie and her crew and all the other members of that team and drive her forward. Katie, I just want to thank you one more time again for joining us, taking out your time from a very busy schedule, and we look forward in talking again in the future, maybe catching up and seeing how driving her forward's going.
Excellent. Would love that. I appreciate
All right,
being
thank
on.
you
Thank
very
you.
much. If you like this show, please like, share, comment. And again, thank you for watching The Fuel Line. It's people like you that we do this for. And I hope you found this information and conversation to motivate, stimulate, and drive you forward. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks for